So let's start. As I told you, I have a few slides, hopefully not too much. I don't want really to get these as a presentation. It's more a discussion. But initially, I just want really to give you a short introduction in terms of power skills and why I believe and strongly believe that they are important. Then we'll deep dive in power skills, and this is a session that I really want to make more as a conversation. And at the end, hopefully we have some time for your questions. So power skills is a term that was popularized by Josh Bursing. That was a HR and talent development analyst. He argued that soft skills, or traditional, what we call soft skills, are actually most critical and impactful skills in the modern workplace. And that's why he used the term power skills, because they really have the power. He also highlighted that these skills are not soft at all. Rather, they are essential for success. I couldn't really agree more with him. And that's why I use the same term to talk about the soft skills. And now that is coming, everything is around automation and AI, and all of those are taking lots of the technical skills that we usually do. Power skills are really essential and we should master them. You will see my eyes going around because I have my notes, I have my skills, and I want to see you as well. So please apologize. I know that I should look to the camera, but I really like to see your faces as well. So you will see me going around, okay? So let's talk then. What is really the difference between the technical skills and the power skills? Technical skills help you to get a job, right? When we apply to a job spec, usually is around the technical skills. But the power skills really help us to excel in that role. We can be the best engineer, accountant, or analyst, but without communication, problem-solving skills, career growth will be very limited. So the big difference between technical skills and power skills. Technical skills are job specific, right? We can measure the skills. They help us to perform a specific task. And those examples are coding, data analysis, financial modeling, whatever we need to do in our profession. As project managers, we need to understand exactly the methodologies, we need to understand the processes, we need to understand the deliverables, right? Those technical skills can be learned through training or certification. We study, we read books, and we learn about those. And can become outdated with technology, right? When technology evolves, when the economy evolves, when everything evolves. Right now with AI, again, some of the skills that we have as project managers are being replaced by AI. A report can be done by AI at the moment. But we need those technical skills in order to perform our jobs, and they help us qualifying for those jobs. Power skills are much more human-centered skills, and I'm talking about communication, leadership, problem-solving, strategic thinking. They are not learned throughout books, usually, okay? We need to try, we need to practice, we need to learn, and those come from experiences as well. That doesn't mean that we are not born, but we can learn that, but usually through experience. It takes time to learn these soft skills. And they are transferable skills. Those are the ones that we can say we are project managers, but we have these soft skills and we can transfer, and we can do also that job. Or we can be project manager in several different industries, several different projects, because we have these soft skills as well. So they help us thrive and lead and grow in our career. That's why they are so important. Power skills really make the difference between someone who is just competent and someone who is influential and considered a great professional. I teach and I help my clients with these 5 power skills. And I really strongly believe that these are essential to thrive, even more for project management. And those are problem solving. So the ability to analyze situations is something that we do all the time, right? We solve problems as project managers. Communication is the ability to really convey ideas clearly, listen actively, and really engage in meaningful interactions. Leadership, we all know, right, is the skill of motivating, influencing, and directing people towards a shared objective. The strategic thinking, and I'm sure that you heard a lot already, being strategic, and as a project manager, we should be strategic for sure. And this is seeing the big picture while we're planning actionable steps, so we can zoom in and zoom out. And the last one that for me is really, really important is growth mindset, is the belief that the abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort, learning, and persistence. Unfortunately, today we only have now about 50 minutes. We cannot really go through all of these, but I would love to focus on problem solving, communication, and growth mindset. Before that, why are power skills so important? We already touched a bit on these, but they set you apart from others. Right now, and even this morning, I was talking with someone saying that it's hard right now to find a job. Even here in Ireland, that was so easy before. The power skills will set you apart for sure to find that job, and more to keep that job. So they make you adaptable to change. Things continue evolving. AI is now a thing, right? Everything is evolving, everything is changing, and we don't know how things will be tomorrow. So that's why we need to keep our adaptability and our flexibility. And this is something that the power skills will give us, all of us. Problem solving and decision making. Every job keeps involving challenges and problems to solve. So we need to master these as well. They foster innovation and creativity. They encourage critical thinking, the brainstorming, the problem solving that we need, and they help us grow in our career. So promotions and leadership roles often depend on soft skills, right? So they are really, really important. So now that I've already shared this with you, that is more the theory, okay, I really want to start a conversation with you and a discussion. And let's start talking about problem solving with one question. How do you solve problems individually and as a team? Tell me things. Just come on mute, please, and talk, or write in the chat if you prefer. How do you usually solve problems? Don't be shy. We are all here in the same. So let's just create this a safe space. What do you do when you solve problems? Do you want me to start? Okay, just to kick us off, okay? I can use a simple framework, okay? Can be identify, analyze, I generate options, I decide about those options. I really like to bring teams together. For me, collaboration is a must. And I'm all about collaboration. So I like to bring people together to brainstorm. This is one of the things that I do. Obviously, it depends on the kind of problems that I have. If it's a very small problem that I can straight away solve it, I don't bring people. Usually everyone is very busy. But if it is a very complex problem that I shouldn't really define or decide or really solve it, because we have teams for that and the SMEs are the teams, I really like to bring people together to brainstorm and bring the best solutions that we can. What do you do more? So far he's saying first step, identify the problem, right? More things.
Analyze it and see the impact of this problem, let's say.
Exactly, analyze the impacts, yes.
And
breaking down the problem into smaller problems so that it can be solved easily with small chunks of steps.
That's such an important point. I really like to do that as well, because sometimes we just look to a problem that is so complex that we feel stuck, right? In breaking down in smaller problems, it's much easier. I love it. And Marie, I prefer to try solving it on my own first If the issue is significant, I then ask my team members for advice. Okay? More things.
I would also look at how urgent it is to solve the problem. And I suppose the second thing I would look at is, do I have the knowledge and the expertise to solve this problem, or do I actually need to get somebody else in to help assist me with this?
Absolutely. And the first point that you made is so important also, because one of the things that we need then to understand is what is the impact in our plan and timeline, right? So that's a very good point. Okay, so I will leave the other ones to, I still have more questions, so prepare yourself, okay? Let's just move on, and I will share with you. All my slides will be like this, the same format, okay? I like to share what I believe are the core abilities for the specific power, skill, and practical tips. So here, for example, for problem solving, I would say, and I really like to highlight these 3 core abilities. And those are critical thinking, that helps you break down, someone was mentioning these, breaking down complex situations, allowing for smarter decisions as well, and react quickly to these smaller problems. That is really an important skill that we should have, or ability. Creativity involves thinking beyond traditional approaches, right, to generate innovative solutions. I cannot really highlight, and I have a story about this one that I really find it the other day, and this story really shows how important it is, creativity, to solve problems. The last, not the least, and there are plenty more of abilities, but I find that being resilient is really an important one when we solve problems. It's really ensuring you that you stay on track, right? When we have tough situations, but we don't be stuck with those. And this is really an important skill when we deal with crisis. So really, really important. So creativity for me, it's really an important one when we are trying to solve, because we can bring innovative solutions, we can help the teams to bring innovative solutions, and creativity is really a thing. So the other day I was learning about this story that I really want to share with you, because I really feel that represents so well how we can be creative. It's a bit extreme, okay, the story, but give us really an idea how we can be creative, even in very strange situations. So the story goes with, there is this farmer with 2 sons, and when they were young boys, they were used to help the father in the farm work. But they grew older and they wanted really to explore different options and not really stay in the farmer. So they decided to go to the city, the big city. But unfortunately, they were not successful, and they didn't really choose very good paths, I would say. So they end up, the older brother ended up being a murderer, and the youngest one being a thief. And they found themselves at some point in jail. So while they were in prison for many years, the father was growing older and he was weak, and they couldn't really keep with the farmer work. So he needed help, or he had to sell the farm. So he decided to write a letter to his youngest son, asking if he could approach the prison board and explain the situation, and maybe they actually could release him to help him in the farm. But obviously the prison board said no. So he decided to try and do the same with the oldest son. So he sent also a letter saying that he was old, he couldn't really work in the farm, if he could ask the prison to release him, at least for a while, to just help him. And he received a letter from his oldest son saying, "Father, please do not dare to touch the farm, do not touch the field, because all the treasures of my murder victims are in the field." Whoa. So 2 days later, 100 policemen were in the farmer, just trying to turn over all the piece of earth. They couldn't find anything. So a few days later, the farmer got another letter from the son saying, "I hope the policeman did a great job. I did the best I could to find you a solution." This is being creative, right? He didn't have the resources, but he could actually find a solution for his father. I love this story, I have to tell you, because obviously it's very extreme, but sometimes we just need to be creative and find solutions even without resources. And this is what we do as project managers, and I love this. Some practical tips around problem solving. Challenge the assumption. Sometimes we just say yes to everything. I learned many years ago that we shouldn't really assume things. So don't assume, ask about things. If it's not clear, if you have any minimal doubt, just ask. Don't assume. That really causes lots of confusions. Consider different options, and we've talked about that, bringing the teams together, checking for advice, trying to get different perspectives from others. That's really, really important. And if we have a problem, there's nothing that we can do. It's already there, right? So let's focus on the solution. It's really important to understand the problem, but let's focus on the solution to really solve that problem. And Steve Jobs also said that if you define the problem correctly, you almost have the solution. Sometimes it's not so hard if we know exactly what the problem is to find a solution and a good solution. But remember to be creative. You don't really need to send policemen, but creativity is really important. Okay, so let's go now to communication. And I'm sure that you have lots of things to say around what qualities make someone a great communicator. How do we identify that someone is really a good communicator? Tell me. Clarity, listening. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
More things. A good listener. What else?
Using clear language.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Clear language.
Oh, yes, clear language. Absolutely. More things. Tailored communication to audience, can read the room and adjust accordingly. It's so important. It's harder and harder right now in a virtual setup. It's harder sometimes or people don't have the camera on, or even with the camera, it's hard to read the expressions, the body language, but it's something that we need to really do. That's for sure. Okay, so let's just move on and see. In terms of core abilities, active listening, that's for sure. And we should really try to listen to understand, right? Not to reply. We usually listen and prepare straight away the answer for the question or to try to have a comment. We should really try to understand first what the person is telling us. Storytelling. We have another one, understanding the key points with active listening and emotional intelligence, for sure. Yes. Storytelling, it's actually important. I just told you a story about the farmer. I hope that resonates with you and you can just try then to understand what I'm actually trying to communicate to you. I feel that telling stories and be able to communicate those stories are really important. People usually learn also how they feel about things, right? And storytelling usually makes us feel about something. And storytelling is really important. And then clarity and conciseness, for sure. We need to make sure that the message is simple and direct and easy to understand. This is really, really important. You know, when you receive those emails that you start reading, and even just to understand the first sentence, you spend like 5 minutes because you cannot really get it. That is not really a great communication. Just keep it simple and direct. Some practical tips on these is, again, active listening for sure, and focus on the intent. Focus what you really want to communicate. What is the message that you want to do, right? And inspire people, inform people. Try to teach something with that message as well, but really try to make sure that you use simple and direct language. So that jargon, sometimes we project managers know a few terms that are very specific of project management. I try to avoid those all the time people sometimes don't understand. They just get confused with our terms, right? So, for example, risks. Risks is a word that many people understand now, and the difference between risk and issue. I try to avoid and talk specifically about risks. I try to understand how people foresee the future and then get the risk from that and try to translate. I usually don't specifically talk about risks with my stakeholders unless I understand that they really understand what risks mean. So it's really important this. And Nat Turner told us that good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. That's really the thing, right? If we don't get specifically the message straight away, probably it will create lots of confusion. Okay, I tell you another story. Years ago, I was working with a team and we were delivering a project very tight in terms of deadlines. And I did a mistake. I sent a message, it was an email, because at that point we were not still using Slack or those communication tools. So it was many years ago. And I sent a message just for our business analyst asking to have very clear requirements and the final list of requirements for the development team by Friday. I was not precise. So I was, in my head, was beginning of the day. So 9 a.m. I should have it in order to the developers to start coding things. And since I was not clear, the business analyst assumed that was end of the day, by Friday, end of the day. So in the morning, I didn't get, obviously, as you can imagine, the documents. And mid of the morning, I was already being upset. And lunchtime, the developers were stuck. They couldn't really do anything. We were working in the client. The client knew that we didn't have time to really wait for anything. And it was our responsibility to keep things aligned. And at the lunchtime, I decided to talk with the business analyst. And she was frustrated as well with me. And we actually realized that I was not being clear with my message. And she didn't ask as well. She assumed that was end of the day. So this a very simple thing, like in my email going just, please, first thing in the morning on Friday, would be very simple, clear, and I didn't do it. And maybe a question from her being, Raquel, when do you really need these, would be also clarifying the message. So sometimes just a few words are really, really important to clarify this. I've learned this. So I usually ask lots of questions, I have to tell. Okay, now about growth mindset. How would you define a growth mindset? What are the signs that you are practicing it in your daily life that you really feel that you have a growth mindset? Understand, accept feedback, willingness to learn, unlearn, and relearn. I love this, yes. More things. Learn from mistake and sharing it with other people. Constantly looking for learning opportunities. Yes, learning from mistakes and striving for amendments in future, lessons learned, admit mistakes. Yes, all great things, that's for sure. So how I see it is that, and we talked about this at the beginning, or I mentioned this at the beginning, things continue evolving so much, right? The marketplace is really changing a lot, and we need really to continue learning. It's our skill. AI learns a lot all the time. We cannot keep up with AI, obviously, because it learns very fast, but we need to keep up with learning, and we need to continue growing, and we need to continue being adaptable. So for me, how we do this is by self-reflection. And someone was saying sharing with others what we have done. For sure, self-reflection, and try to get feedback from others as well, right? That's really, really important. It's the way that we can really learn what we have done and apply and continue improving. Embracing challenges. Sometimes we are just stuck and say, oh, I never did something like that. How I will do this? Even yesterday, I had someone reaching out to me and say, I'm feeling an imposter. I believe I'm not enough and I don't apply to new opportunities. No, we have done all the time great things. Yes, imposter syndrome is something that we all, even the most experienced people, find it sometimes and face it sometimes. But look to all the good things that you have done before. We have done new things all the time since we were babies. We start walking without knowing what was walking, right? So we know how to do this. And embracing challenges, we allow us to learn so much. So it's really important. Curiosity is also another one. We need to ask questions. We need to learn more, and we need to continue exploring new ways of doing things. So embracing challenges is definitely something that we should do. Tell you another story. My son started competing for swimming 2 months ago, something like that. A few weeks ago, he had his first gala. Okay, he was very excited, and we decided to. The first round for him was planned to start around 2 p.m. We arrived there around 1 p.m. Not because he was very excited or because we want really to arrive so early, but we were coming from a different place, so we went straight. And he was ready. He went to his coach, and the coach said, listen, I'm not the one organizing here. Please go and ask that boy there. So he went to the boy didn't know. He spent like 15 minutes trying to understand what was really the thing for him. Okay. And we were outside just wondering what's going on there. And suddenly we saw someone telling him, it's your turn, go, lane 2. Okay. So he didn't really have the time for anything, just putting the swimming cap, the goggles, and put him in the position to jump. Okay. And he won. I was Obviously, I'm a mom, right? So I was really excited about that. But that made me think that what actually put him in such a way, after all these 15 minutes, go here, go there, and didn't really know how to solve that problem, and suddenly it was his turn to go, was really the fact that he's very calm, he's focused, and he has a huge determination. And he always wants to know more and how to swim more. He loves to swim, so he really wants to learn how to do better. He has a very good technique already, but he keeps asking how he actually can do it better. This is how we should actually approach our problems, right? With this idea that is an obstacle, we have obstacles, we have an opportunity now, and let's jump to it. That is how we should do it in our jobs as well, in our lives. We look to a job description that maybe we don't have all the things, but let's go ahead. We have the majority, and we know that we are able to do it, even if it's not 100% of our things, right? Getting out of our comfort zone sometimes. I would say even more, Gina, more than sometimes, all the time. Yeah, sometimes we need to rest, I know. So we just need to have in our comfort zone sometimes. But yes, try really to go outside. Is how we learn, right? And I love this quote from Carol Dweck, that is the author of Mindset. Become is better than being, for sure. We can learn with lots of great skills, but we can learn about so we can become much better every day. So a few practical tips on this. And we talked about this already, right? That is, involve others. Don't also do a self-assessment, but ask others to tell you how they perceive you. All of this is about how people perceive us, right? How we are good people, how we are good professionals. It's all about how people perceive us. So ask others as well. And understand that mistakes are natural. Admit mistakes, Farah was saying. Absolutely. We do mistakes. We are humans. But the important thing is that we learn from those mistakes, right? So don't be shy. Those are important. We all have done that. Even very experienced project managers or professionals in general do mistakes. We don't have all the information all the time, so it's normal. That happens. And again, step outside of the comfort zone is how we learn, that's for sure. So I have one last question for you, and this is more really a self-reflection, but I would love to hear from you. That is, which power skill do you find most challenging to master, and what makes it difficult for you? Thank you, Farah, for being here and to listen and your participation. You can just unmute yourself and tell us, or write in the chat.
Yeah, for me, I guess communication is the most challenging one because it's not depending only on one person. It's yeah, who sends the
Absolutely.
message and who receives the message.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Jean, I don't know about you, but one of the things that I find, I'm Portuguese, living in Ireland for 12 years now, but I remember when I came to Ireland, not being a native English speaker, for me was a thing, was an obstacle, really. I was always thinking that my English was not good enough to be project manager. How do I now bring and have these brainstorm sessions with people? How people will understand what I will say? And I have to tell you at the end, and now 12 years later, I feel that is actually an advantage, I have to tell you. I don't use usually jargon. I don't have idiomatic expressions. I have a very simple language that helps a lot my communication with all the stakeholders because they understand. I just use simple vocabulary, you know. So one thing that I saw before that was for me an obstacle, I now see as an advantage, you know. And that I believe is important when we just move around or we talk and speak in a different language. I choose growth mindset. I agree with all of these. I have been seen too. Nadej, why growth mindset? What is the most difficult thing for you?
What would be the most difficult? Laziness, maybe, if I can.
And that happens a lot.
If I can call it that way, you know, well, I think overall I have more of a growth mindset than a fixed mindset. But you know, sometimes I just feel that I just wants to stay for a while, just stay in my comfort zone, and you know, not trying to push the boat too much, and just be quiet, and so yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also, I believe, the period of our life, right? That we just say, now I want to rest for a bit, and then I go again and learn more things, or leave me alone just for a while now, right? I completely understand what you are saying. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, and I totally agree with you about sometimes the benefits of not being a native speaker in a language. Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex, I would say memory. Oh, so interesting. I need to have everything noted so I don't forget things. Alex, tell me a bit about that. Can you speak, Alex? Maybe not.
Okay, now I should be able. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Yes.
So yeah, I like to have everything write it down, so I don't forget things. Especially if you're working with like too many different teams and people. Just following along what was the last thing that was discussed and the last thing that was set up for the next update or the next follow up. That is super important. And if I don't have it, write it down. I probably forgot because different items, different things to discuss.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not only with operations or single tasks, but also with projects. And especially not only with with work, but also with personal life. I'm finalizing. I'm really happy about it, right? Finalizing my engineering career on my 10 semesters already. I'm working on my thesis and also working on some other things. And it's also like taking notes of the things that I need to change on my thesis and reach out to my assessors and be like, hey, can you please look out at this, please? I need it for my deadline. And also more personal things such as birthdays, trying to put a reminder to text friends that I have been along that I don't text them and do a checkout with them. Just try to everything that I want to do. If I need it to be sort of like write it down or have some kind of schedule. Yeah. If not, I lose track of things. So I guess that's my worst part, the memory.
I find, Alex, I'm not sure if you resonate with these. Sometimes it's not lack of memory. It's just too many things that we have to do and competing things as well, right? What do you have a tool that you use specifically? I'm always interested in trying to understand this. Do you have a tool that you use for keep tracking of everything that you need to do?
So I used to have OneNote for having my calendar and sort of like my thoughts that I have over the day. I used to write a lot about the things that I like, but now that I'm more into my thesis, more in my university and my work profession, I now use Notion and different tools that Notion gives you, especially the Notion calendar for scheduling all the activities that I'm going to do on a day, and the usual Notion just for getting notes of my things that I need to change on my thesis and everything. And also, I think OneNote just stopped being so useful for a couple of years now. But yeah, I 100% resonate with the things that too many things at the same time. But here's the thing: like once that you start having more things to do, it's less likely that you start having or decide to have less things that you used to. You're probably just going to keep these this space until something like really big changes. So I stopped worrying about like, I have so many things to do. I wish I could be like when I was younger, that I had like less things to do. But now I'm like more into accepting the other things in the phase of life that I'm into, and going through that acceptance. I think it has allowed me to get more tools to manage everything, and that leads me to more satisfaction over the time.
Yeah. I just want to share with you, I've tried several different digital tools. And I know maybe I'm too old. I always keep going to paper, and list. So I've decided to use a bullet journal. I use it for several different years right now. I have usually a master list, and then I keep having my weekly list of things to do. And I have everything here that I have to do, personal, professionally, everything. And then I keep writing just things in paper. Is how I do it. I feel that it's the interesting thing is that I usually don't forget about the things that I have to do, but I feel that helps me just release what I have in my head and don't be concerned in remembering about it. Just really look into things. Oh yes, I knew that I had to do this, but it's there, and I know that I'm not losing track of it. So very interesting. Thank you, Alex, for sharing this. We still have some time. I don't have too many things. I actually have one or two more slides just with things, so we can go just through these because it's very interesting. So Daniela say communication. Sometimes anxiety clutters my thinking when I'm interacting with unfamiliar people. Daniela, do you want to explore a bit about that?
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Sometimes I just feel like so many things are going through my head when I'm talking to someone who's unfamiliar. Like, am I saying the right thing? Are they understanding? Are they thinking it's not right? So nowadays, I'm just trying to mentally pace myself and prepare myself. And oftentimes I ask myself, well, like, what's the worst that could happen if I'm wrong? Couldn't die from it. So yeah, kind of helps me take down my anxiety a bit.
Which I feel it's very important, because we should stop and really think what we will say to make sure that our message is well communicated, right? So it's important to do this. But it feels to me also that you are trying, or at the same time, understand how people perceive you, right? And what, and maybe that is where you are being a bit more stuck, I would say, is trying to understand, are people really looking at me and think that I know what I'm talking about? Do I have all the facts that I need to talk about this, right? Am I the expert in talking about this? Yes, I completely understand what you are saying. Very good. Thank you for sharing, Daniela. And Gisa, I hope I'm saying correctly your name. I'm sorry if I'm not. For me, growth mindset, sometimes I tend to settle in my comfort zone with what's easy and safe. Yes. Gisa, do you want to just unmute yourself and tell us a bit more about this?
Hi, Raquel. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, sometimes we tend to like stick with what feels familiar and easy for us. And I think this session is a great reminder for myself that I can do more, and I can push myself to do better. Because sometimes, like just stick with what's comfortable. But sometimes it's not wrong to go for what's comfortable, but we don't, I mean, we forget that it may like lead us to feeling stuck, or not growing. So yeah, it's a really great reminder for me to do better and become more, to be more. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Oh, very good. Very good. Yes. And the first step is really looking to it and try to understand where we are stuck, right? And what can we do better? That's for sure. And we have Firuza saying, can't decide between growth mindset and communication. Why that, Firuza?
The growth mindset, it's all about like psychological warfare against your trust, your limiting beliefs, your ego, your fears. So it's really hard to sustain. On the other hand, communication is not just about you, it's also about other people. It's not just about your intention, but also how the other person will interpret things. So therefore, it's kind of hard to decide which one of them. One of them is just very individual. It is within you, which is growth mindset. On the other hand, the other one, it takes two people, like how they're gonna interpret it and how you're gonna just receive that and reciprocate it. So it's just like you have to rewire all your cognitive beliefs just to change all these limiting beliefs so you could sustain it on a daily basis. So it's so hard.
I love that, what you just said, because they are really connected, right? If we think about that. If you continue having a growth mindset and continue learning, you feel more confident, right? Confidence is usually a result of something that we do. So you feel more confident and your communication will probably be much better as well. Because when we feel confident, we actually can convey our message in a better way, right? So they are really connected, which is very interesting that you are between the two, because they are really, really both connected. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Firuza, for sharing. Gina, you have your hand raised.
Yes, just I have, let's say, one more challenge is usually many of us are facing this one when you communicate to some stakeholders who don't have time. They don't hear you or even or listening to you, and even they have like quickly requirements, and they need you to do some tasks, but sometimes you are confused, or you don't understand what they want. At the same time, you need to take a decision, and should be the right decision.
Oh, yes. They just say, we need to do this, right? What
Yeah,
about, and you
exactly.
start asking questions and, oh, I don't have the time now. Oh, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. What I usually do in those cases is that I can make lots of assumptions, but I don't make them assumptions for myself only. So I just send back and say, listen, I heard you. This is how I'm getting this. I need your confirmation that I'm thinking correctly about the problem. Because otherwise, if we keep our assumptions for ourselves, what happens is that at the end, the stakeholder will tell us, you did all of this wrong. You didn't understand anything. And then it will be very hard to say, yes, but you didn't really have the time to explain to me correctly, right? So I say, listen, I understand you don't have the time. I completely understand. This is what I or the team decided to do with all of these assumptions. Is this right? If not, please let me know, because we will start developing, or we start doing something about this tomorrow, or whatever it is, and give them a specific deadline to confirm. And if they don't confirm, I usually send them a reminder and saying, listen, again, we need this because this can impact the timeline, this can impact the project. So it's really important that you have the time to clarify this. And put the responsibility of that decision on them as well, because at the end, they asked you something, they should have the time to explain to you, right? Cool. So let's just move on. I just have a few things more to share with you, and is really how to master the power skills. And a bunch of steps that you can do, not really too much, so only 4 steps, but really put the time on this because it's really important. Start by evaluating your power skills, okay? Assess how you are in each of the power skills. And the power skills involve so many different abilities. So maybe just actually I'm trying to prepare a list of all the abilities and try to have an assessment, but it's still not ready. So hopefully in the future I will have these and I can share with you. But really think about all these abilities that we've talked about and really try to understand where are you in each of those. And set realistic goals, okay? You want to improve, don't try to improve all of them at the same time. Really pick 1 or 2 that you really want to work on straight away. And invest in growth, training, resources, read a lot, learn a lot, try to get a coach, a mentor, someone that can also guide you and help you there. And commit and take action. Sometimes you just, oh yeah, I need to do this. Tomorrow, I'm so busy right now with all the projects that I have, right? Tomorrow I will start, tomorrow I'll start, and then I never start. And time will pass anyway. So really try to do this. So very simple steps that you can really identify where you are at in terms of power skills and really make a plan. We are project managers. Make a plan for your growth as well. It's very important.